the attacks that happened today that killed 4 policemen and injured about 20 people, that is sort of a declaration of war against Pakistan, against the state of Pakistan. Until yesterday, here in Washington, I was discussing this with a group of Pakistanis, and they were saying, well, and this probably is a pressure tactic, and that they are saying this, but they probably will not resume attacks. But the TTP has once again proved that it is not only capable of carrying out that attack, but it is also very ruthless, and he has no regard for Pakistani people or the Pakistani state. And as you know, like only 2 days ago, they announced that they were ending the ceasefire arrangement that they had with Pakistan. And the unfortunate thing is that it seems, I mean, I'm actually sitting in Washington, so I'm far from the theater, but it seems that the Afghan Taliban, who are the de facto rulers in Kabul now, they are supporting TTP, they are encouraging them to launch these attacks, or at least they have not taken any steps to stop them from launching these attacks. After all, TTP is based in Afghanistan. It lives comfortably there, and it uses the Afghan territory for carrying out attacks in Pakistan. In the past, we used to say that they were supported by the previous Afghan government, and that government had good relations with India, and that is why sort of there was an Indian involvement, and that's why the Afghan government and the Indians, they were encouraging TTP to carry out those attacks. But now we have a government which is supposedly pro-Pakistan. We have a group in power in Kabul which has been helped by Pakistan in surviving 20 years of American presence in that country, and whose family members lived in Pakistan, whose warriors escaped to Pakistan when they came under pressure. They were treated in Pakistani hospitals and everything. So, and yet they are doing what they are doing. So, it shows that first of all, we need to reconsider our policies towards Afghanistan. We need to reconsider our policies towards the militant groups, and we need to do something to stop TTP from doing that. Otherwise, I mean, if they continue carrying out these attacks, if they continue infiltrating Pakistan, they may once again reestablish themselves inside Pakistan. They may once again capture somewhere, capture an area, and as they did in Swat, and sort of try to establish their own base as they have done before in Swat, in Waziristan and other places. Well, actually, yesterday when I reached out to the State Department asking for their reaction to TTP's announcement, I was expecting a formal statement saying that, yeah, terrorism is bad and all terrorist groups are bad and we condemn the attacks, etc. But I was surprised. I mean, the statement that they shared with me was very strong. I mean, they didn't only say that they condemn terrorism or terrorist attack, which they did, but they said that they have a shared interest with Pakistan in combating groups like TTP. So they actually mentioned TTP. And so I think the Americans have always been very clear on this particular issue. They see terrorist groups, whether they are TTP or the ISIS or any other group operating in Afghanistan or anywhere in the larger Middle Eastern and South Asian region, they see all those terrorist groups as a threat to their interest, a threat to their allies, and they are willing to work with any country that is going to take them on. I think this is one area where Pakistan can also, Pakistan has in the past worked with the Americans against the terrorists, and Pakistan can once again do the same. And Pakistan can benefit from U.S. intelligence. Pakistan can benefit from U.S. technology, war technology, if Americans actually offer to share it. And Pakistan can use America's diplomatic support in dealing with the TTP. This is a very important point. Why Americans are supporting Pakistan against TTP? That's a very important question. You see, number one, the experience. Americans have seen that terrorism in any form or shape anywhere in the world ultimately becomes anti-American. Number two, TTP is based in Afghanistan and Pakistan, and it is allied with the forces that are anti-American, including the Afghan Taliban. Yes, Americans negotiated a peace deal with Afghanistan, and yes, they withdrew their forces from Afghanistan, but you see, they have not yet recognized the Taliban government in Kabul, and they are in no hurry to do so. They still see the Taliban as a force that they cannot trust. And then TTP also has had ties with groups like Daesh, ISIS, which is openly anti-American. So the American attitude has always been that these are dangerous people, and that no country should allow these groups to establish its roots on its soil, and that America will support whoever takes them on. Number one. Number two is that there is a realization in Washington that Pakistan has an important role in that region. I mean, for the last year or two, or maybe for the last 2 or 3 years, the Americans did try to work there without much of support from Pakistan, except in peace negotiations. And they also felt that their strong relationship with India is enough to sort of prevail upon that region to have peace and stability there, but it didn't work. So now there has been an obvious political change in Washington, and while they still see India as a larger and more important ally, particularly in their effort to combat or to stop China from spreading its influence, the Americans have declared China their enemy number one, and they have a declared policy of containing China. And in that policy, India has a very major role. But at the same time, there is sort of a realization in Washington that Pakistan should also not be ignored, that Pakistan can play an important role in combating terrorist groups. Pakistan can be useful in other areas in that region, in Afghanistan particularly, and they are willing to work with Pakistan.